Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
Something has changed in your grocery aisle. Store brands have taken over the shelves, and major retailers are now competing with their own products. It's not a passing phase either, and today we'll explore the rise of these private labels, the strategies behind them, and whether shoppers are actually getting better value or just falling for some clever marketing. Coming to you live from our studios in Beijing, this is Roundtable. I'm Steve Hatherley. Thanks for being with us today. And for the show, I'm with Yushan and Yushun. First up, you may have noticed something changing in your local supermarket. The familiar brands are no longer the only stars of the show. Instead, store brand products are everywhere. From the entrance to the prime shelf space, retailers like Walmart and Huma aren't just selling other people's products anymore. They're fiercely competing with their own private labels. It's not a temporary trend. This is here to stay, but a complete overhaul of a retail landscape that maybe hasn't changed in a very long time. So why are supermarkets, after decades of acting like product bookshelves, suddenly obsessed with this? Why are they becoming brand creators? And more importantly for us, for the shoppers, does this shelf war actually mean we're getting something better? Is the quality better? Is the value better? Or is this just some sort of marketing plan that we're falling for? Yushan and Yushan, good afternoon to you both. I, for one, I know everybody shops online these days. They have everything delivered. But I really love a trip to the grocery store.
Oh, why?
There's something poetically romantic about it. Mm-hmm. I have a love affair with food. And when I walk into a grocery store, it just feels like heaven to me. And the bigger and the more beautiful the grocery store, the happier I am to spend a good couple of hours there.
Actually, some people say that is also a good option for a dating scene. You know, two people go to the grocery store, wandering around on the different shelves and picking up the things that you like, and you can exchange the different hobbies and interests.
That's kind of fun. Yeah, find out what you like and what you don't like, and you can have
especially around this time, people are like accustomed to buying online, and we have the habit of ordering things, no matter it's the grocery or daily necessities, we buy them online. Sometimes it's cheaper, but now I think people started to discover the charm of going to this kind of brick and mortar store again.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into it. Let's do a little shopping, shall we? Let's find out what's happening in China's supermarket landscape.
Yeah, but buying online or going offline, regardless of all that, or regardless of whether you're just there for vibing or if you are there like me, who's doing like efficient shopping, grab what I need and leave, just like that, there's one thing that's hard to notice, both in the real supermarkets, offline supermarkets, and on their online apps, which is the fact that here in China, many of these supermarkets own store brand products. They are becoming much harder to miss nowadays. They are everywhere. Because previously, back in the days, these products were often either put away at the corners and leave the shelf room for bigger national brands, or they are put at a very cheap price so that they can gain some attractions.
They weren't a priority. Yeah, this isn't new, right? This is not new. It's just how they are showcased, how they are displayed, how they are prioritized is new. They were there before. Maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't, because oftentimes if you weren't looking for that particular brand, then you might have a hard time finding it.
Yeah, but now the change goes to the brand of the supermarket is the brand of the products. Many retailers are giving their own brands the prime space on their shelves with dedicated displays and entire shelves designed to catch customers' attention just so that they get better exposure and people buy their own brands more often. And it's not just for food, it's for literally everything showcased in the supermarket, like rice. Here in China is quite popular, and then there's cooking oil, even paper products like paper towel, toilet paper, and then there's also household goods, daily commodities. These store brands item now sit side by side with famous national brands, if not really taking their space already.
Yeah, the product list is kind of everything. Not literally everything, but most things you can think of. We have this in Nova Scotia, where I'm from as well. We have a supermarket brand whose name is No Name. That's their name. Their name is No Name.
Well, let's go to No Name today.
Yes, exactly. And that's what's on the label. Like you buy a jar of peanut butter and the label says No Name on
So
it.
poetic.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. So the supermarket scene then is more competitive than ever. And I guess this is one of the strategies that supermarkets are employing to raise a bit more, put a bit more money in their pocket.
Yeah, indeed. One example that's happening in Beijing not too long ago is Walmart. Well, it is preparing to expand again in Beijing. It's already got 5 stores, but recent report from Caixin.com said that the company will take over 2 more, which were used to be BHG supermarkets. And after these 2 original supermarkets kind of shut down, they are taking over to expand its landscape here in Beijing. And it's not only in Beijing. In 2026, it aims to renovate more than 100 stores across China. And instead of stocking everything possible, Walmart is actually putting greater emphasis on its own private label brand too, like fresh produce and ready-to-eat foods. They're building their own kitchen, which had already gone very popular on Chinese social media, which we'll get into more details a bit later. But yeah, this is where they're kind of coming from.
It is actually quite a change, I would say, because back then probably last year we were having the discussion of a lot of these brick and mortar supermarket, they were retreating. They were closing down stores or their branches. But now, of course, not only these kind of international brands, domestic brands like Alibaba owned Hema is also, they're trying to race ahead with its discounted supermarket chains called 超合算 NB, and by the end of June, 6 new stores are also expected to open in Beijing at the same time. And these community stores are much smaller, carrying only around 1,500 products, but roughly 60% of them are their own brands.
So this is like going into the neighborhoods, because a lot of the times the bigger supermarkets will be not within a community complex or something like that. They're so big that they're occupying so much space that they tend to be, how can I describe it? Just a little bit
isolated on a bigger land.
Thank you. Isolated is the word I'm looking for. They're not isolated, but it kind of feels like they are.
I think it could perhaps be the case in North America, but here in China, actually, a lot of the supermarkets, at least as far as I've noticed, like Yonghui and Sam's Club, that's kind of nearby in our office region, is actually in the middle of several residential compounds and communities. But it's just by design. Yushan, you mentioned the community stores of Hema. They're having roughly 60% of their own brand products in those stores. I think that's a very smart strategy too. You know, I want to build a very solid name and attract even more people. And I'm in the community anyway, so why not showcase more of my own brands?
And that's the key there, I think, too, is that they are smaller stores, which allows them to penetrate deeper inside the communities, because a lot of the time a trip to one of the major retailers with their bigger stores, it's kind of like an event for that day, because it's going to take a good couple of hours to go and do your shop. Nobody pops in to a major retail store and pops right out. Or maybe I'm just speaking for myself.
It's a half a day trip.
Right? It kind of feels like you're there. It's a bit of a commitment. So these smaller stores hitting just a different side of the market, I suppose.
Yeah, and this kind of rise is not only happening at 1 or 2 supermarkets, it's becoming a kind of industry-wide trend. A recent report also showing that retailers that are known for strong store brand businesses such as Sam's Club, Costco, and Hema now get roughly a third to more than 40% of their sales from their own brands. And some discount chains have also gone even further, with store brand products making up almost 90% of what they sell. And what we can see is that it's not only these offline supermarkets, online supermarkets, they are also trying to bring or build up their own image or brand. I can remember I think JD.com, they also have their own like selected category for
7 Fresh.
Yes, that is their fresh produce supermarket, but it is online. So they also have their own brands, and people would, because I kind of selected some of their products, but the thing is that you can totally tell that their own brands sometimes to be cheaper, which means that I think that is one way to get the attention of a lot of these consumers who have been so accustomed to the original, like larger brands. So I think this is as we said, it is a whole industry-wide trend that not only brick and mortar stores, but also online stores, they are all trying to build up their own image and get into these kind of fields.
The numbers are significant, right? You said them already. A third to more than 40% of their entire sales come from their own brands, companies like Costco and Sam's Club and Huma. And this trend is spreading now to other streams of the retail industry. But I'm curious to know why it took, maybe it's not fair to say it took a longer time for China to catch on in terms of this. But I think Costco, when they started their brand, I think is called Kirkland. I think they started back in the 1990s, and it didn't take off right away. It took some time to build consumer trust and things like that. But why do you think this is becoming a big thing now here in China?
Well, not really over the night either, because actually here in China, it's also gone through a process, and that process has already taken over, well, more or less about a decade. So the first entry of international retail brands is kind of a start of all this. That's back in the 1990s when China's consumer market was really booming at that time. So brands like Walmart and Carrefour, they entered China.
That one's from France,
Yeah,
right?
that one's from France. And also that's around the time when we are starting to attract these brands into China, into the markets of the mega cities here in China. And people were just surprised and so excited to see all different kind of commodities on the shelf. And that was also by design, because back then the priority of these brands was often to rent out their shelf space so that bigger name brands can take it up and attract people to shop as much as possible. And as a result, the store brand products, they were there, but nobody seemed to really care and notice them as much.
They weren't the priority. Yeah, and to be fair, that wouldn't be a very smart business strategy, would it? To open if Carrefour opens a new shop and they showcase their own brands while other better known brands, more famous international brands are there too, that just wouldn't make sense, right?
True.
So you'd have to roll that out slowly, I suppose.
But if we zoom it out and look at the same period, but in the European retailers, that was a totally different picture, because this is also reported by Economic Daily around the time of 2010. So by that time, private label products already accounted for around 30% of sales on average at many European retailers. The kind of like achievement that we have nowadays was achieved by European retailers over 16 years ago, with some reaching as high as 60 or even 70%. And in the meantime, we can just simply conclude that while private labels had already become a major force in the global retail market, they really remained a small and largely overlooked part back in China back then.
So then, from a Chinese shopper's point of view, from someone who visits a grocery store here in China, some of the private store brands only started to feel legit, maybe within the last decade or so?
Yeah.
I've seen some of these like store-owned brand or these simpler packaged, cheaper commodities appeared in the supermarket shelves. But yeah, as we said, we didn't really, I think, believe in them or trust them that they can be as good as the brand that we have already been buying for years.
Would you say didn't believe in the private store brand or didn't believe in the store itself?
I mean, it is understandable that people will have these kind of preconceived notions that supermarkets, they don't, because they don't see them as specialists in that particular area or particular product category. So they may question the quality of and prefer to buy some more established and dedicated brands. It's similar to, the clothing. If you don't know that, the clothing and sometimes hats and electronic accessories that are sold in IKEA. Yeah, IKEA sell them. And I don't think people will believe that it is kind of a product that IKEA really want to develop.
They're not known for that.
And it's probably just a souvenir kind of thing
Right.
that IKEA may sell. So people will have that kind of idea that, okay, I'm not here to buy clothes, so I wouldn't be, chasing for these kind of products that is labeled as the supermarket. But I think the thing is, it is changing in recent years. I think mostly because of some of these supermarkets, they started to create their own brand and image. And as you said, Steve, people started to have this kind of ritual of going to a supermarket, of visiting this place is for this specific brand from this supermarket.
Yeah, a few brands kind of took the lead. For example, Hema. Back in 2017.
Which has a very strong reputation, right?
Yes, that all started about a decade ago, where their early boom really kind of opened up the whole market for people to realize, okay, Chinese supermarket can also make very good and reputation trustworthy kind of products that's aligned with their own brands. And they expanded really fast. They opened 18 stores in just 1 year back then. And at the same time, it rolled out a full system of in-house brands, including the fresh food, dumplings, bakery, salad, ready-to-eat meals under their own name, the Hema Kitchen, their own title. And different brands kind of chase it differently. Hema is one of the bigger ones. Then there are around the same time also Yonghui, which is also developed starting in 2017. They borrowed the experience after they invested in a U.S. company specializing in private label development and retail strategy. And from there, they launched their own store brand line too. So I think Yonghui's own private label products only occupy like about 20% of their sales, not as high as Hema's 35%, but still, now that this is where the trend is going on.
And that was a big time, apparently, around 2017, because there was a report that came out. It was from the China Chain Store and Franchise Association. And it was in 2017 where they shared that the average share of store brand sales across supermarkets rose to 2.8%. Now, that's not an impressive number, especially when we just heard 30 to 40% of entire sales. But at that time, it started the ball rolling in that direction now. And here we are in 2026, and it feels like the supermarket serving as a landlord, so to speak, where they provide the space and then they rent out the shelf space for companies and their products. It feels like that is starting to slip away.
But the thing is that e-commerce and all of these direct-to-customer brands, those physical shelves aren't rare anymore. They need to find out a way to actually stand out from this fierce competition among all of these supermarkets.
Fair point.
Retailers realize that they can't just, collect the rent, as you said, being a landlord. They have to actually sell stuff they own to make real money and make a difference and come up with products that people actually want to buy from them and them alone, and specifically spend one afternoon to go to that store just only for their own brand.
And I think it starts with the image. I really, really do. And that's why I asked the question before, did Chinese shoppers not trust the store brand, or did they not trust the store? And the reason I asked about that is because I really believe that shoppers, when they feel good about going to a store, meaning the interior is designed in a very nice and modern and bright and clean way.
Yeah, smells good.
Right? Then you're thinking, "Oh, this is a pretty good brand name. what do they sell? So that's why I said I think it starts with the image of the company first. And once you've got that established image, then you can start promoting your own products. And maybe that's why it took a little bit longer here in China, because companies were working on their own brand image first, and then they're saying, now, here's what we sell.
And they're now collecting the reward of that very design, because when we're talking about numbers, the house brands usually have profit margins of around 10 to 15% higher than only renting your shelf out to big name brands.
Oh, so they make more just from the markup.
Yeah, and I think this is where the house-owned brands and the bigger brands, national brands, are having in common, as a matter of fact. They're both trying to customize their own private label and make it as affordable as possible without going outside the market competition, while making their own products attractive. So in that sense, as far as my research can reach, a lot of the private brands, they are feeling the pressure while also being part of this competition, trying to get innovative. So not that we have the private labels now. Traditional big name labels don't matter anymore. They are trying to coexist while also competing in harmony by collaborating, all happening in Chinese domestic supermarkets nowadays.
Well, I guess that's one of the challenges, isn't it? Because before, you had supermarkets that were all selling the same thing, right? They were all selling the same brands. They were representing the same companies. They were renting out their shelves for the same products. Now, all these supermarket brands are coming up with their own labels, their own products. And I guess the challenge is number one, everybody else is doing it too. So you still have to make sure that you're differentiating yourself, and I guess that would be through quality.
Sometimes even when supermarkets plan carefully and suppliers don't always keep up, because there are some examples that is showing this kind of phenomenon. The CEO of a snack company, Mo Xiaoxian, called Wang Zhengqi, once shared a striking example that after discussing with Hema's procurement team, he realized just how detailed their understanding of products had become. Even something as simple as rice was also broken down into many subtypes like porridge rice and mixed rice. And he admitted that these supermarket buyers knew more about categories and also taste profiles than him, who is the supplier.
Right.
So, and then he got warned that as the buyers become more professional, people just want these kind of more detailed, more categorized and products.
And the buyers are becoming more professional because the shoppers are becoming more professional.
Well, it's not like these suppliers can't cook up what these supermarket buyers want. Of course, they are able to provide that specific dish as they want to make their own kind of product more innovative. But it's just that if these supermarkets are getting more refined and more creative and more high demanding with the food they're putting on their shelf under their own brand name, then yeah, the suppliers, the manufacturers needs to catch up too. And according to this Mo Xiaoxian CEO, they are trying hard to catch up. It's becoming challenging for them.
The thing is that I think that is the key on how these supermarkets, traditional supermarkets, can survive in these fierce battle, because what I can tell is that some of these successful examples that we just listed, they can be successful. It's because their products are good enough. They created some good branding. They created a huge wave on social media on people just really want to buy these products. But the thing is that, of course, some brands, they started their own like bakery brands. You can only buy their bakery in their supermarkets. But why they did not get successful is because what I tasted, they're not really that good.
And that's a very tricky game, because I'm guessing that you didn't visit that bakery section again.
No,
right?
I just made up my mind I will never buy bakery from that store
because
again.
That's what customers do. That's what I would do, right? You try something once, and if you think, oh, this isn't for me, I don't really like this, you're not going to go back and try it again a month or 2 or 3 months later. You're gone. So, you have to make sure that the quality is there right from the get-go. Also from the consumer, now we're talking from the store's point of view, but what about from our point of view, and not even from the quality side of things? Is this good for us? Are we saving money? Are we still getting as good a product by buying a store brand as opposed to buying an established brand?
Well, that is what many of these brands, supermarket brands, are trying to promise to their customers, especially those faithful ones who trust them. That's the kind of the point of everything, that we produce healthy and fresh food that you can put your faith on us. So generally speaking, the answer to your question, Steve, is yes, because we can see retailers really working on keep up with that very promise. For example, some supermarkets really take food safety and freshness seriously. One good example would be that of Fat Dong Lai, Pang Dong Lai, which is a very famous domestic supermarket brand, and their item is known for, I've never shopped there, but I kind of heard that their items are known for selling it and creating it and selling it within the same day. And after that date, it's recorded and it has to go to the rubbish bin. Like, you don't sell overnight food. And also they come up with their own clean recipe products, like their giant mooncake and black bean soy sauce. They claim to be very clean in the recipe, as per there's no additional artificial coloring or artificial seasoning added to it. So they're trying to use these details to convince their customers, yeah, you can put your trust on us because we are doing that good.
It just takes time. I was reading that, when Costco started their Kirkland brand back in the 90s, even the employees didn't think it was a good idea.
Really?
Yeah, they thought, I don't know if this is going to work. Customers were so accustomed to no major label equals cheap, low quality.
Oh, yeah.
And that you had to, it took and it takes a long time to change that mindset to getting to a place where customers will see a store brand as a premium brand. It's totally possible. It just takes, it's not going to happen by tomorrow, if that makes sense. So therefore, this is seen as a positive move in the right direction for us customers. It provides us with better options, perhaps, for our wallet, while we can still get something that's equally healthy or equally delicious or equally snack-worthy. And it's also, for me personally, it's another reason to take a trip to the store. Do you like buying groceries online? I don't like it that much.
Don't you like seeing your grocery already at the door when you come back from work?
I like touching it before I buy it.
Oh, okay.
You can't do that with everything. But I feel like when I'm shopping for a steak, it's the same experience as shopping for a pair of jeans. I almost want to try on the steak first before I put it in my shopping cart.
I think now I've already cultivated a habit of, if it is the daily necessity, I buy them online. If it is for, like, we are buying for a hot pot dinner or for a party, we will go to that offline store and have a trip around there and maybe spend a whole afternoon or night there.